So have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I train hard, I eat pretty well, so why do I still look like a potato? Not lean, not big, just soft and a bit doughy. Almost like someone hit pause like halfway through a transformation. That is the skinny fat zone, and if you're stuck there, you're not alone. But you're also not out of options. See, I've helped hundreds of guys escape this skinny fat trap. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact 4-phase system that I take my own one-to-one coaching clients through to get them out of that skinny fat cycle and finally build a lean and jacked physique that actually lasts. So if you're training 2 to 4 days a week, you're eating pretty healthy but still not seeing changes, constantly second guessing if you should be cutting or bulking, then this is for you. Because this system that's helped hundreds of guys just like you, busy lives, long working hours, no time for 6 days a week at the gym, get lean, strong and confident again. Guys like Ollie here who went from soft, doughy and fed up of cutting the carbs to jacked, shredded and confident. Ben here who went from constantly stuck between skinny and chubby for years and years until he finally built a lean and muscular physique that he could take on his holidays. Let's not forget myself. Hi, I'm Aidan Burr, if you didn't already know. I've been coaching men for almost 15 years now. I keep myself pretty lean and jacked over the years, following these exact same steps I'm going to be revealing to you in this video. It's this system, that's how we do it, and it works. So let's break down that system here right now. Right, so most guys who are stuck feeling like they need to bulk up, but they also need to trim down some stubborn belly flab areas, love handles, etc. They are trapped in what I like to call the skinny fat cycle. But there's also a slightly better phrase that I like to use for this. You're being a bit of a flip-floppy fucker. Harsh? Maybe. But if you've been bouncing between cutting and bulking for months, if not years, and you still don't like what you see, this is probably why. It always starts the same. You notice a bit of belly, a bit of a love handles, and you think to yourself, right, it is time to cut. Time to sort my shit out. Strict diet, eating clean, adding cardio. You go a little bit over the top probably, and soon you start to shrink down. The problem is with that fast weight loss, your arms look smaller, you start to feel a little bit flat, so you panic and you're like, oh shit, I need to start bulking. It probably isn't structured, it's just immediately start eating as much food as you can. More food, more snacks, more takeaways, you lose any sort of discipline that you had with that restrictive diet before you know it. You flip back, start feeling soft again, start feeling like a little bit of a potato, and you flip back again. So cut, bulk, flip, flat. 6 months go by and you look exactly the fucking same. This isn't really a strategy, it's a loop. It's a skinny fat cycle, that's what it is. To get out of it, you don't necessarily need more discipline, you just need to know which specific direction you need to go in. Hence why I made this 4-phase system for you. This is the exact structure that I use to take guys from skinny fat to strong, lean and jacked. Phase 1, which is shred. Phase 2, sustain. Phase 3, build. Phase 4, reveal. So each one builds on the last. And if you do follow them in the right order, the results, they're pretty mad, to be honest with you. And 1,000 times better than what you're achieving right now, I can promise you that. So let's get into phase 1, shall we? Phase 1 is committing to the shred. So why do we commit to the shred? Well, because until you get rid of all that excess flab that's making you uncomfortable, you'll forever be stuck flip-flopping. My client Miguel here, for example, like many guys that come to me for help, he was stuck in that skinny fat stage. He was afraid to cut the weight and feel even skinnier. He was afraid to commit to a bulk and expand his belly even more. So he was stuck. Here's what you really need to know. You can gain muscle while committing to a shred phase, while committing down and cutting the weight. But you cannot tone up and lose fat if you are bulking. That information alone should tell you exactly that first step that you need to make, which is phase 1, shred. That's exactly what we did with Miguel. We shredded the unwanted fat as quickly and as efficiently as possible, while making it a big focus to follow an effective muscle gaining plan in the gym as well. So if you stick with this strategy and basically don't bitch out when you start feeling a little bit skinny, then you will shred up properly while uncovering a solid muscle base in the process. So, shred phase it is, phase 1. How do we do it? Horrible strict diet, mass restriction, being miserable. To be honest, we do it in 3 very simple steps. First thing we do, we fully track and assess the first week on your new journey. So with my new clients, I don't even tell them what to eat. Every single bloke, when they start on a new diet, you tend to have these go-to settings that you will automatically shift to. So that automatic eating plan that you start instinctively following when you're trying to trim up. So we just see exactly what that looks like. So what you eat for your meals, the values of them, the calories and protein mostly. This is the most important thing we need to know. Another thing we monitor is all your activity. So your workouts and your daily step count. Second thing, so once you've tracked that, we then switch to focus on 3 key metrics that dictate how fast you'll shred the weight off each week. Step count, calories, protein. So now that we have your step count and activity level, we use that to calculate what your target should be in order to shred the fat off at a rate that's not too crazy starving, but it's also fast and aggressive enough to keep you motivated and seeing that weekly change. So once we've done those 2 steps, finally step number 3, we tweak and adjust your existing habits and meals that you've been tracking to make that fit into your new existing targets that we've just set you, so that we're in the calorie range that we need to be in, so that we're fueling up with enough protein in your meals and each day, so that you can gain some muscle during this phase as well, as long as you get your protein right and your workouts are efficient, which we'll get onto that in a bit, and to keep you more full up and satisfied during this process, because obviously it is a shred phase, it is a dieting phase. Inevitably you will feel a little bit hungry. Anyone who promises that you're not going to feel hungry during this phase is full of shit. But there are ways to minimize it. So over the weeks we make small tweaks and adjustments to your food, the meal choices, to help you adhere to the process and stay on plan. But the key is using that 3 steps. It is based on what you already know and what you're already familiar with. That is the easiest way to get you moving quickly and consistently. Not some brand new meal plan that is completely new and totally alien to you. Because you're going to face so much resistance trying to stick to that from the get-go. So it just makes getting started a lot harder. Most blokes think they need to just grind through this for one hard, long diet until they're completely done. And ultimately, that's why they never make it. You burn out, you lose steam, and you just feel like it's taking forever, because this shred phase, it will probably take a little bit longer than you want it to. And if you quit, it's back to square one again. But here's what actually works. You see, what we do is we break it down into individual sprints. So basically it's 8, 10, 12 weeks of going hard, structured, dialed in and fully committing up in that intensity. And then it's anywhere from 3 or 4 days up to about 2 weeks of a refeed period, more flexibility, a mental and physical reset, up in those calories and getting yourself ready for the next sprint. And then we go again. So it's like 8-week hard sprint, intensity high, calories down, shredding up fast, sort of like a kilo a week, refeed period, up the calories, have a bit of a break, get ready to go again. Usually it takes 2 or 3 sprints for someone in that skinny fat zone to get completely shredded up. That's exactly how my client Avinash here did it. He had quite a lot of fat to shred at the start of his journey, more than most guys typically stuck in this skinny fat cycle, so it was a long shred phase. But how did we do it? Not through one brutal, never-ending diet, but through sprints. And every single sprint, it took him closer to his goal without the burnout, made the process easier because he wasn't trying to stick to it forever. So he could sort of count down the weeks. It's like 5 weeks to go, 4 weeks to go, 3 weeks to go. It makes it easier to stick with it. And it allowed him to have a little bit of downtime between sprints as well. So now, as you can see, he's an entirely different looking guy. Not from crash dieting, not from slow, frustrating, I'll just eat clean and hope bullshit, but from knowing when to push hard and when to chill out. So the aim of each individual sprint is to drop somewhere between 5 and 10 kilos. The good thing about doing it this way, like I said, it breaks it down into much more manageable chunks that you can count down to. And you will be hungry at times, it's not easy, but being able to say, right, 4 weeks to go, 3 weeks to go before my refeed, that keeps you on the straight and narrow. So what is the end goal in phase 1? Well, it's to get you to a level of lean that you feel like you are done. No more little layers that you want to trim off. Nothing that's making you feel uncomfortable. No little thing rolling over your trousers or your waistline, for example. No little extra bit of love handles that's like niggling in the back of your mind. So it usually does mean dropping more weight than you think. Most of my clients, they do need to drop at least 5 kilos more than they predict. Towards the end of this shred phase, psychologically, you might start feeling a little bit skinny. As you see with my client transformations here, like while you're in this phase, you can build some decent shape while cutting down simultaneously. You will want to quit early, but it is important that you hang in there and you commit to the shred completely. How many sprints? Like I said, for most guys, it's 2 or 3. If you're lucky, it might just be one sprint of 10, 12 weeks. But after each sprint, those progress pictures that you're going to take, it will give you a much clearer idea of when you are truly done. This first shred phase, it will get you down to the leanest and lightest that you will ever be. Here's the best part. You will never have to diet down as long as this shred phase ever again, thanks to the phases that come next. Before we move on to phase 2, let's have a quick word about workout programming. So I've gone into more depth on the workout side of things in other videos in my 2-set shred method and the secret split that you should be doing. So feel free to check those out, obviously. But just so you're clear, there's no one best way to split your workouts. I'm personally not a big fan of bro splits like chest day, arm day, leg day. One of the most popular methods with my clients is a 4-day front back split. So basically we do a full body push and a full body pull, and we just alternate between those two. The benefit is that you never skip muscle groups, you never skip body parts. As long as you're alternating between the two, over the month you will end up balancing out. And also there's no shitty, annoying leg day, which most guys hate, let's be honest. You get to smash those big upper body push and pull movements, but we also merge your leg workouts into that as well. I've left a link in the description below where you can download my free 2-set shred program with this exact split and a workout program that you can get started on or follow in for free. So feel free to check that out. But remember, through this entire transformation journey, muscle gain is always important. Not just about fat loss, it's about training effectively, recovering well, and progressing is the key. And it's something that we'll keep adjusting through all 4 of these phases. Everything that we do on my coaching program, for example, with my one-to-one clients, everything's followed and monitored on our coaching app. You've got all your workouts set out in front of you. You know exactly what you're doing in the gym. Got a very easy way to track all your workouts, sets and reps, etc. because it is good to monitor all this. That way I can keep a close eye as well and give you a good step-by-step coaching on how we progress through this. So no stone is left unturned, basically. The same with your nutrition, managing all these numbers. It's all monitored, big brother's watching all. Every single week you get given the guidance and the feedback needed so you aren't left confused with what you need to adjust or what you need to do for the week ahead. Basically like metaphorically holding your hand through the process. But you are implementing everything yourself, and that's the key. So you do learn as the months go on. So you do become very, very, very self-sufficient, and of course you see big physical changes. So, shred phase done. Let's move on to phase 2. So phase 1 got you lean, like lean. Now comes phase 2, which is a phase, which is a part of the journey which no one ever really talks about. Phase 2 is all about sustaining where you've got to. Sounds fucking boring, I know, but it's probably the most important phase for you to manage this shit long term. You've done it, you track your food, skip the beers, said no to takeaways, you've trained through like low energy zombie days from time to time. Towards the end of each sprint it can get a little bit tough. But you actually stuck with it and you shredded off all of the fat. You look in the mirror and you think, I'm finally done. I do not need to get any more lean than I am now. But now you're stuck with the big question. Now what? You're already lean, you've got no more weight to lose, but you also know that if you go back to old habits, just eating the way you used to, it's a one-way ticket to just putting all the weight back on again. This is a bit of a danger zone. So without any plan or structure or direction, 90% of the guys are just going to fall back into old habits and patterns and the same sort of skinny fat potato look that they were in before. That's why we do not skip this phase. So how do we handle the sustain phase? It's not as simple as just letting all your discipline go and just being able to eat whatever you want. This phase is such a key one to go through because at the end of the day, most guys don't know how to maintain a body that they've trimmed down to. So this here is the key anti-yo-yo part of the journey. So the main objective of phase 2 is working out how much fuel your body actually needs to maintain where it is. In order to do that, obviously we've used our calculations beforehand in the shred phase, knowing our key metrics and learning our calorie range to be in to shred down. So the first thing we do is refeed ourselves back up to the estimated calculation range that we should be at maintenance. So we give ourselves a bit of a window of calories to try and stay inside, where we predict, it's not set in stone, it's not 100% like super accurate to calculate, but we predict where we should be to maintain our weight. Most guys, this is going to be like between 500, 1,000, maybe even more, but like 1,000 calories more than you've been used to consuming and eating during your sprints during the shred phase. So at first it's going to feel like way too much food, but the diet that you were on before, that routine, that was to get you to lose weight. So you need to understand that's not where you need to be anymore. So when it's done properly, instead of the usual ways that guys do to bulk up, where they just eat anything, Deliveroos, takeaways, pizza, just smashing loads of shit food, I mean, doing it that way is a very easy way to have 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day without even batting an eyelid. But this way, through regular meal planning, getting into a real eating routine, it will initially be quite a challenge. The first thing that you're going to notice during this phase is that your weight will jump up. Because you're no longer dieting down, there will always be a bit of a water spike. Put it in the most simple bro science explanation possible. When you're shredding down, your water weight kind of gets sucked in. So whatever you get down to, as soon as you start fueling your body what it needs, your water weight will bounce back up to regular sort of maintenance levels. So you'll immediately jump up like 1 to 2 kilos. But you would have kind of been used to that during the little refeeds between sprints in the shred phase anyway. But then after that little spike, what we're aiming to achieve is for our weekly average weight after a couple of weeks to stay very, very steady. Maybe go down a tiny bit, up a tiny bit, but it's pretty much leveled off. You're not trending down and you're not trending up with your weight. That will confirm that the calorie range that you got yourself in, the amount that you're fueling up, is the correct amount to maintain, to sustain the body that you just built. So once you've been able to keep your weight steady for a good 3 or 4 weeks, that's basically experiencing your full phase of being able to sustain your physique as it is. So this phase, it's not very long, but it is super important, because in order to keep yourself in great shape, in order to keep yourself lean and jacked long term, you're going to be in this phase for quite a long time in the future. You're going to need to get comfortable and used to learning how to maintain a decent physique. So that's phase 2. So let's move on to phase 3. Phase 3, the fun bit, it's the build phase. So you've learned how to fuel your body without gaining or losing weight. So now comes the bulking up part that most guys seem to be like desperate to get to. But let's call it what it really is. It's a building phase. I don't like saying bulking. Bulking sounds like you're just going to get fat. Some of you might be familiar with it as bulking, but for me, I like to call it the build phase. So stick with me and start calling it the build phase. So this phase is about packing on some proper size, some proper mass. So a lot of guys want to start this phase early, just like I talked about before, but it's so hard to commit to a long build phase when you've still got layers of body fat that you want to lose, which is why we do phase 1 and phase 2 first. What do we do during a build phase? Obviously, the calories bump up slightly again, but only by another sort of 200 calories or so that you were just in during the sustaining phase. And we're aiming to put on roughly 1 kilo a month. Little things like in the gym, you might move more towards compound lifts a little bit more in the gym, a little bit higher volume. Extra attention might go to lagging muscle groups, which you might sort of realize when you get down to the end of the shred phase, what sort of areas are a little weaker. Protein stays high, obviously. Form, effort, and intensity in the gym is everything. So back to the nutrition side, because you've got a lot more calories to play with, the challenge can sometimes be eating enough, but also eating enough without eating like a dickhead. That's where the importance of phase 2 comes in. There's a reason why we do this system in the order that it is. Because you've learned to get yourself in a bit of a semi-automatic eating routine that fills you up and satisfies you and gives you the calories it needs. So all we need to do is just bump that up just a little bit more now. These extra couple of 100 calories, it won't be too much of a problem once you've done phase 2 correctly. And it does give you, during this phase, you do have that little bit of extra freedom with your diet. Do have a little bit more flexibility with your food choices. You can go off plan a little bit more. It is allowed a little bit more frequently, especially compared to like a shred phase in your fat loss sprints. So in that sense, it is a little bit more enjoyable. This is why you turn a lot of your attention to your gym workouts, which of course they are very important during the shred phase, maintaining and trying to build a little bit of muscle while we trim down. But we want to make sure that all that extra fuel that you're going to be putting into your body goes to good use during this build. Are you getting enough volume in? Are you making each working set count? Are you recording a selection of exercises each week and assessing your form, stretch, tempo, intensity, level of failure that you're hitting in your sets. So all these things on my coaching program, they're monitored, of course. Not just on our coaching app, where we track all your sets, your reps, your workouts. But all my clients, they drop me exercise videos as well, where I review and give full video feedback going through the same checklist that I just named just a second ago myself, and making sure that they implement any improvements or changes over the weeks that I might give them in their feedback. Basically, over the weeks and months, this compounds into you becoming a gym savage, an absolute beast. So expectations during the build phase, we're looking to gain 1 kilo of body weight a month approximately. That's why you need to pay very close attention again to your weekly average weight here. Or you can loosen up on the food tracking style of things. Your average weight, you need to weigh yourself consistently and make sure your average weight is trending upwards very, very slowly and gradually. Full build phase, typically somewhere around 9 months. Can go shorter, can go longer. If you go a bit shorter, you need to give yourself more time to put on some proper mass. You can go longer if you want to eat over into like the summer months, for example, if you don't mind putting on an extra couple of layers during summer months. But typically, if we schedule it around your year, which we'll talk about after phase 4, we'll talk about how we cycle it all. It's good to do it for about 9 months, sort of around autumn, winter time. A couple of examples of guys in my program when they're full build phase. So my client Zach here, you can see where he started. Then we trimmed him down in the shred phase, which gave him the freedom to commit to a proper build. And as you can see here, he got pretty damn jacked. He never got anywhere before because he kept trying to bulk first and then panic diet. So he was stuck flip-flopping. So once you go through the system in the right order, that's where huge change happens. So a warning during this build phase. This phase is long and it requires a lot of patience. It's not as exciting and filled with the kind of fireworks and motivational quick progress that you might see during your shred phase. While you're shredding down, the kilos drop fast, the inches trim down, and you can notice at times physical progress almost every single week. Whereas during a proper build phase, you'll start to feel a little bit softer. You'll question if it's working. You'll be tempted to do a mini cut after a couple of months. Don't. Most guys panic here just a couple of months in because the scales start going up and they start telling themselves that they feel bloated or they're worried that they're going to get fat again. And they want to cut it way short and flip-flop back to a cut because they feel like they're giving up that hard-earned definition that they achieved during the shred, which technically you are, just a minimal amount. See, if it's done correctly and slowly in this build phase, unlike what most guys do during a bulk where they just eat everything in sight and get fat, it will be a very, very controllable amount of weight and a little bit of body fat, a little bit, 1 or 2 little layers that you gain during this phase. That can easily be tidied up in phase 4. But this phase here, this is where the most amount of muscle gets built. So if you want that big reveal later on, you need to be able to stick and dedicate to this phase for somewhere around 6 to 9 months. During this phase, something that our monthly coaching calls on my program can really help is keeping you on track. So every month we jump on Zoom, we have a proper little catch up and we review the previous month and we map out the following. I like being with my clients every single step of the way and being able to chat and have a proper in-depth catch up with them. Something that can absolutely fill you with both clarity and confidence that you are going in the right direction, you're doing the right things. If you haven't had high-level coaching before, you will be amazed what this kind of support, structure and accountability can do to your progress. It can 100x it. Once you packed on the size properly in the full build phase, this brings us on to phase 4. So phase 4 is the reveal. Done it. You committed to the build, you've added size, stayed consistent, trained hard. So now it's time to reveal what you've built. Good news is this phase, it's not a long slog like phase 1 shred. If you've done the build phase properly, like I said, you've only got a couple of very manageable layers that you need to trim back down in order to achieve that big reveal. Hence why we call it the reveal phase. Funny that. For example, just to throw some numbers out there just to make it more relatable for you to sort of see how it works. If you shred down during phase 1 down to like 75 kilos, let's say you started at, I don't know, 90, shredded down to 75 kilos and stayed in phase 1, sustained after that little water spike, sustained around 77 kilos in phase 2, hovering around 76, 77 kilos. In the build phase, you built right up over about a 9-month period up to 85 kilos in phase 3. Then you would reveal You'd reveal your hard work and most likely need to quick shred down to around 78, 79 kilos. That can be done in just one aggressive sprint. Because you gained so much experience and built positive habits and routines in the first 3 phases, and you've done this for quite a long time now, this reveal is only going to take one short and aggressive sprint of like 8-10 weeks. And you know how it's done from phase 1. But this phase will feel even easier because it's quicker and more motivating because you've already been there and you have a very clear idea of where the finish line is going to be. So here's Ollie, for example, revealing his hard work after his build, as an example. And Joel here as well. You can see where he started before his shred phase. Then he trimmed down, built himself up for a solid 9 months. And this reveal is pretty impressive, to be fair. It's getting through this phase that really shows how this is going to be a long-term thing for you. It's no longer something temporary. Gained full control over your physique and built something that is proper, lean and jacked. So, what does this look like long term for you? As that's the key at the end of the day, managing this long term, keeping a lean and jacked physique for good. I mean, to be honest, if you make it through this entire cycle properly once, like it's a good year or so, like the amount of experience and progress that you would have made will set you up pretty damn good for the future. Awesome news is that long phase 1 shred, you'll never ever have to do that again. From here on out, you cycle it through phases 2, 3 and 4. Phase 1, no longer necessary, it's out the window. Phases 2, 3 and 4, you cycle it throughout the year. But look a little bit something like this. You do like an autumn and winter build, and then springtime, you would reveal your hard work, which you've packed on the sides, reveal, and then which leaves you the summer months where you can just maintain and sustain it. Very simple, very repeatable, fits very well with what most guys are aiming to do around the year anyway. Get big, put on some mass over the winter, trim down, stay nice and lean, just a little bit extra lean over the summer months. Because you're doing the build phases properly, you won't ever get mad out of shape, you're never going to get like fat again, you just have a couple of very manageable layers to trim down at any point if you need to. So you'll end up looking pretty damn jacked all year round. So, now we've gone through it all, it's quite clear to you now, hopefully, this ain't going to happen in 8 weeks. It's not some quick fix workout and diet plan that's going to sort you out for good. Especially if you're a skinny fat guy who's been flip-flopping and stuck in their cycle for longer than you'd care to admit. But give it 9 to 12 months following this system, going through the phases in sequential order, everything's going to change to you. Your body, confidence, how you walk into a room, how you take your top off on your holiday. Most guys keep spinning their wheels for years. But the guys who win, they follow this 4-phase system and they stick to it. So this system has worked for stressed out family men, busy career driven blokes who struggle with time, guys in their 30s, their 40s, even 50s plus. No magic, no gimmicks, just real support and structure, guiding you through this system and helping you make it through the inevitable speed bumps that you encounter along the way. If you are stuck in this skinny fat cycle and you want a body that you're proud of, I can personally coach you through this system. And if you'd like to learn more about how my one-to-one coaching program does work, then just go to the first link that I've left in the description of this video, which will give you everything that you need to know. Sounds like something that you're ready for? You can book on a call, you can jump on Zoom, we can have a chat, I can map out how this is going to work for you personally. Absolutely zero pressure. If you want to move forward together, fantastic. If not, I ain't going to drag you over the start line. If I have to force clients on board this program, that would be a terrible coaching business, as you wouldn't get results and you'd just be a pain in the ass. This is meant for guys who want that extra leg up and are ready to be held accountable to a high-level coaching program. Anyway, if you made it this far, I'm sure you found it all very useful. Comment any questions that you may have below. If you're ready to check out the next step, then go to the first link in the description below for details of my Skinny Fat to Jack coaching program, of course. And I'll speak to you soon.